For over 30 years, Bob Lazar's story has been one of the most polarizing tales out there. You either believe him or you don't. But something just happened that adds a whole new layer to this. Lazar was recently confronted with a perfect recreation of his most unbelievable memory, and it forced a profound personal reckoning. Let's break it down. And this quote right here, this is the whole ballgame. Imagine telling the same incredible story for decades. Then, one day, you see it brought to life so perfectly that it feels like you're right back there. That's what we're talking about. A moment that triggered a huge emotional response in the man at the center of it all. So, you have to ask, how does a story that's been around for ages suddenly become so immediate, so emotionally raw for the guy who claims he lived it? Well, a new documentary didn't just retell the story, it rebuilt it. Using incredible CGI, filmmakers recreated the secret S4 facility based purely on his descriptions. Lazar himself said it was like they downloaded it out of my brain. But here's the crazy part. It wasn't just a trip down memory lane. The recreation was so precise that it started unlocking details he had completely forgotten. I mean, just look at his reaction. This isn't someone just remembering something. This is visceral. It made the hair stand up on his arms, put tears in his eyes. He said he felt teleported. This is a guy having a deeply emotional, almost traumatic throwback to a memory that suddenly feels terrifyingly present. Okay, so for anyone who's maybe new to this whole saga, what exactly was this experience? What does Bob Lazar claim he saw all those years ago at the secret S4 facility? You really just need to know two key things. First, he came out with his story in 1989, and for over 30 years, the core details have never changed. That's pretty unusual for a made-up story. And second, fast forward to today, and the Pentagon itself is releasing videos of UAPs doing things that sound eerily similar to what Lazar was describing way back then. Now, this is such a critical detail. When Lazar first walked into that hangar, he wasn't a believer. He saw this incredible craft, but then he saw an American flag on it, and his first thought was actually relief. He thought, oh, okay, this is ours. This is a top secret US project. This explains all those UFO nuts. His own skepticism was about to be completely demolished. And here's the kicker. It wasn't what they told him. It was what they didn't tell him. His orders were basically, figure out how to copy this thing and figure out how to shut it down from a distance. Notice what's missing? They never said, here's how this amazing craft we built works. It was that little omission that eventually led to his supervisor finally spilling the beans. It wasn't theirs. So let's get into the tech itself, because this is where the story gets even more frustrating. And, according to Lazar, was totally held back by all the secrecy. Okay, at the heart of all Lazar's technical claims is this thing called element 115. He said it was a stable, super heavy element that powered the whole craft. Now, back then, that was pure science fiction. Decades later, scientists did manage to create a super unstable version of it, but the stable isotope he described, it's still way beyond anything we know in mainstream physics. And this gets to the core of what drove him crazy at S4. You know, science works because people talk. They share ideas, they collaborate. But at S4, everything was aggressively walled off. You had teams of brilliant experts who were literally forbidden from speaking to each other. In his mind, these security roles were the very reason they weren't making any real progress. I mean, get this, Lazar, the guy working on propulsion, had this theory that the material the craft was made of was actually part of the propulsion system itself. He thought it might be something called an electret. A super cool idea. But could he go talk to the metallurgy team about it? Nope, absolutely not. That information was off limits. And so, progress just stalled. And it's that very frustration with secrecy that makes his recent change of heart so absolutely stunning. After decades of fighting for disclosure, he's now wondering if there was a terrifying reason for it all. This is the one question that's been hanging over this whole story from the very beginning. If this technology is real, if it could literally change the world, why on earth would you hide it for more than 40 years? For decades, Lazar argued they shouldn't. But now, well, now he's not so sure. This right here is a bombshell. After being the face of UFO disclosure for a generation, Bob Lazar is now on record wondering if he was the one who made the mistake. He's actually questioning his entire crusade, considering the wild possibility that the people keeping the secret had a damn good reason. And his new perspective is chilling. He makes this point. For over 40 years, every single group of people in charge of this secret, no matter their politics, has come to the same conclusion: keep it quiet. He now thinks it's because this is world-conquering technology, and that a species of territorial primates like us just can't be trusted with it. Maybe the secrecy isn't a cover-up. Maybe it's protecting us from ourselves. And that massive shift in thinking pushes this whole conversation way beyond government secrets and into some of the biggest questions you can ask about our species and our place in the cosmos. You know, this leads to a pretty deep philosophical place. The conversation turned to comparing humanity's behavior to an invasive species. We show up, we disrupt ecosystems, we consume everything. It really makes you wonder, are we a natural part of this planet's story, or are we something else entirely? And if that wasn't unsettling enough, it echoes one of the strangest things Lazar claims he saw in briefing documents back at S4, this idea that human beings are somehow containers. It's such a weird, cryptic, and disturbing thought that just begs the question, if we're containers, what exactly are we containers for? And this is really the final big thought to leave you with. If you zoom out and look at humanity, what's our one defining trait? It's this relentless, unstoppable drive to innovate, to build better and better things. It's changing our world, it's changing our bodies. But is that impulse the very thing that will elevate us to something like divinity? Or is it our fatal flaw, the thing that's leading us straight to our own end?